Candelario? Meat patty.
Soy Patricia.
Oh, yeah, you're Colombian.
Yes.
Forgot about that.
And I'm a Spanish teacher.
That's what you teach?
I used to for 8 years. Now I'm teaching elementary school.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's tough.
I just tell them so I might check for a region court. No, they're making they're doing that to a lot of teachers, just switching them around.
What are they doing?
Switching teachers around. Making like extreme demands.
Why?
Because they want teachers that are making a lot of money
To retire. That's the NJEA?
No, not the NGA, the government.
The government, yeah. Oh, the NJEA is for you.
Supporting us.
And then the government is trying to basically get rid of y'all. Chris Christie, he's like, he doesn't care about teachers. He does not care about teachers.
That's not firefighters or police.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, oh. Did you hear that one clip? Did you ever watch Chris Christie clips? So funny. One time, this lady goes, "We love teaching and you're cutting our benefits, and now we can't make a living from teaching." And then so he goes, "So then just don't do it. Get another job." That's what he said. He said, "Then don't do it. Get another job." Could you believe that? In front of a massive auditorium. All right, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi man wala. So today, we're pretty much getting pretty deep into the book now. We're going over our belief about the Day of Judgment. There's nothing more important than beliefs, because beliefs determine your mentality. Mentality determines action. Actions determines the world. Right? Your action determines your world, but your action also determines a part of my world. And everyone else's action put together formulates what the world is like. 111, the scales. Wait, actually, no, we passed that, actually. I'm going to revise all that stuff. I'm going to do a review of all that stuff. We're actually on 126, the intercession.
Yeah, I missed a few courses.
Yeah, no, I'll go over all that stuff. So beliefs are the most important thing. It leads to mentality.
Mentality leads to action.
Action, and action leads to what the world is, right? Either for yourself and for others. Because if for all of us collective, if we have a certain mentality, it's going to lead to certain action, and all of us will influence other people. Behavior. Yeah, behavior. Now, the thing is that it's very important to emphasize, and that we're a part of, and really we should feel blessed that we're a part of, is that beliefs must be absolutely certain. There cannot be shakiness in beliefs. All right, there cannot be. No human being has ever functioned with no beliefs. Even to have no belief, if you think about it, is a belief, right? Because if you declare that there's nothing out there worth believing in, that's actually a belief, if you think about it. So the human being, he's a creature that Allah has made. His pillar is going to be belief. No matter what he believes, he will believe in something. Even those who basically believe that whatever you believe in is fine, that relativity is a belief. It's a belief, right? So to have an absolute belief is the source of a person's serenity and security, and also our ability to measure ourselves. We have to measure ourselves, because we human beings, we're human because of our knowledge, willpower, and character. These are the three things. So our character and spirituality, which is really one thing. Our knowledge and our willpower. This is what makes us different from animals. We have intellect, we have free will, and then we have spirits. Okay? The animals, they live in a different realm than we do. All right? So if you have an absolute belief, you can measure yourself. You can measure your knowledge relative to that absolute belief. If you don't have a religion or a belief, then how do you measure your knowledge of the world? How do you measure your understanding of the world? So that's one thing. How do you know what's important? If there's no God, okay, if there's no deity that you put up as holy and sacred, and he's the one who gives all the orders and tells us what to do and tells us what the world's about, if you don't have that pivot guide, then how do you know what to even study, what to learn? And if you don't learn anything, then you're just a beast. You're a bum. So knowledge is critical, but which knowledge, who's going to determine that? So how am I supposed to know what to study? Should I study biology? Should I study the arts? Should I study literature? What am I supposed to study? And Allah tells us what we're supposed to study. Number one study is deen. Everything else, it could be for you or against you, right? It could be useful, it will be outdated someday. And everything else on the day of judgment, it will be useless except for the one who used it to help God's creatures. That's the only thing. Someone he knows, for example, plumbing. It's such a mundane subject, right? It's just so random. However, you could still get to heaven just from that, because every day you're going to go into someone's house and you're going to see them down about their toilet or whatever. You're going to fix their problem, and then they're going to be happy again. You just did a good deed. So you can go to heaven just from that. But the knowledge in and of itself, the knowledge is useless on the day of judgment. No one's going to care about toilets. But the knowledge of God and afterlife, that will continue to be useful even in the afterlife. The knowledge by itself. Forget even how you used it. So that's the knowledge. Then you got will. Animals, they don't have choice in life. The animal doesn't have a choice. When he's hungry, he eats. When he wants to go to the bathroom, he just goes to the bathroom. He doesn't choose. Yeah, you can train an animal, but you only train him by hope and fear, right? Hope and fear. So you train a dog, you ring a bell and you give him food. Ring a bell and give him food. Then you're going to ring a bell and he's going to come running. Pavlovian method, right? Same thing. Just fear and hope. Or you ring a bell and you hit him. You ring a bell and you hit him. So then next time, if he attacks a guest, you ring a bell and he's going to run away because he knows he's going to get hit. So that's the Pavlovian psychology of animals. And even the dog, he's very high up because he can do that. You can't do that with a squirrel, right? If you notice, Allah has animals that we could subjugate, like dogs, cows, horses. And then animals, no matter what you do, you cannot subjugate it. You can see a boy in India or Africa pulling an elephant. He's subjugated an elephant, right? You can teach an elephant how to walk with you and ride him, but you can have the biggest geniuses, they cannot subjugate a fly. This is Allah's will. Isn't that amazing? You cannot subjugate a gnat, but you can subjugate an elephant. SubhanAllah, right? So this is Allah. So the willpower. Now, if we are the people who make our own rules, right? And if we follow no rules, then how do I know if I have willpower or not? Right? How do I measure my willpower? And the human being, he's marked by being able to tap into his willpower the most. Only way you can tap into your willpower is if someone else besides you, okay, gives you a bar, puts a bar up and says, you should be doing this. You have no excuse not to be doing this. And you should be avoiding this. You have no excuse not to avoid this. At that point, you have to struggle. You have to struggle, okay? And now the question is, well, what happens if that person doesn't know who I am? That's another problem. That's why another human being who comes along and says, okay, let me set the rules for all you. I'll be the chief and I'll set the rules. All of you have to do this, this, and this, and this.
So what's the struggle? The struggle within ourselves?
The struggle within yourself.
Willpower?
Yeah, to tap into that willpower.
It's not knowing whether or not that person is guiding you properly, like you just said.
Yeah, so now let's say a person comes along and does that, right? Okay. Why should I listen to him? He doesn't even know me, right? And if I followed him, I might follow him into destruction. Right? Someone who sets me a man-made code of behavior, right? He may lead me into destruction. Why? This person, he doesn't know the past, he doesn't know the future, and he doesn't even know me. So human beings can only have a limit on what laws they can apply upon other human beings because they don't know. They're not the makers of human beings. Okay? Now, if you made lesson plans, right, you can tell your students, you know your students' level. You know that you could tell them, you have to do this. You can do this exercise. But that's it. You can't tell him anything else. You can't tell him something in his moral life. You don't know that person. But in deen, okay, the belief in, and why it works for religion to have an absolute belief is because we believe that Allah is the one who made us. And we have different indicators. We have various indicators, which is another subject. We have indicators why we should believe in God and that He made us and He made this world. So He knows the past, the present, and the future. So when He says, you should do this, you got to do this, then we know for sure it's doable, it's practical, and it's possible, and it's beneficial. It's beneficial. That's the other thing. So we know that for sure, and we can measure our own moral aptitude based on whether or not we can fulfill these deeds, whether or not we have the willpower, or do we follow our own laziness and whims and passion. So how do we separate someone who follows his passion from someone who has that ability to say to himself, you've got to do that? That's what piety is. So this is yet another critical reason why to have an absolute belief, and belief in an absolute guide who knows us, who made us and sets the rules for us, right, makes us human so that we can apply our willpower. Otherwise, how do I know I'm not just fulfilling my passions? And if you fulfill your passions, what do? You spoil yourself. Why is this a problem? Why is it a problem when anytime you want something, you get it? Because you're not going to act. You're not going to fight. There's going to be no fight within you. Now, if there's no fight within you, then what happens when you start getting into bad habits? You become controlled. You become conquered. Okay? And once you're conquered by your bad habits, you're finished. So all these, for example, out in LA, all these people who are fulfilling all of their desires all the time. Allah gave them the money, He gave them youth, He gave them all that's needed to fulfill their desires at all times. When these individuals succumb to alcohol abuse, when they succumb to some addiction or other, what fight does he have in him? They have very little fight. They become controlled, okay, by addictions, okay? And so the Muslim is constantly being told, get up for Fajr, now get up for Dhuhr, now make wudu for Asr. You're constantly being pushed. So now when some kind of addiction comes your way, you're strong. You can push it out of the way. You just push it out the way. Why? This religion doesn't leave you alone. Allah is always pushing you. You got a parent, you got to call them. You have a fight with someone, you got to go make up with them. Allah is pushing us all the time, and that's what, when He pushes us, we become strong. When we become strong, we're able to repel evil from ourselves, so we benefit. It's like, subhanAllah, someone who is always telling his son, let's say someone's got a son, or someone's in the military, get up and do 10 push-ups. Now do 10 sit-ups. Now do 10 star jumps. Now go run a mile. Constantly pushing him. Never let him sit on the couch for an extended period of time. Now, someone at the school bus stop pushes him. What's going to happen? You're going to worry about him? You're not going to have any worries. Because I'm pushing him all the time. Right? And now he's strong. I don't have to worry about him. And so Allah makes us strong. So if we didn't have an absolute belief, an absolute guide, we wouldn't do any of this stuff. Right? And so we end up being weak. The last thing is, we said knowledge, we said the willpower. What was the other one? We said character and spirituality. Character and spirituality, right? Spirituality is also requires something absolute, because spirituality is also based on knowledge and willpower. If you combine these two things and you do them in the right way, you will attain a healthy spirituality. Okay, you will attain a moral self, a moral conscience, okay, that can grow or that can sustain spiritual growth. Now, spiritual growth, what is the chief feature of spirituality? It's love. Taqwa is the soil. Taqwa, that piety, that's the willpower to push away the bugs, the rodents, the foxes from the garden, right? The foxes from the garden, and to toil the garden. The work. Taqwa is the work. Now, the work is that garden. Now, what is the main food of spirituality? Food of that garden is love. Love has to have a direction. These days, there's this thing in the, that it started really in the 70s, but it's coming back now. That it's just one love, and if you don't want to think or have any discussion, just say love. Right? Just say love. And everyone becomes a subject of love, right? After they die. Malcolm X, love. Nelson Mandela, love. No. What's his name? Martin Luther King, love. No. There were struggle. There were people of struggle. But that, once we lay down that we have fought hard and struggled hard in religion, now, who do we love? Spirituality has to have love, right? The spirit is nourished by love. You have to have someone to love. And if you don't have an absolute, then, and the subject of your love is you yourself, and you are the decision maker of who you love, okay? At that point, you're absolutely random. You may A, love someone that doesn't benefit you. Love something that doesn't benefit you, okay? Love someone who will harm you. Love yourself, and thereby end up killing yourself. Selfishness kills a person, okay? And destroys a person. So how do we even know who to direct our love to? And so having an absolute is critical. Okay, having that absolute, we know who our love is for, and our spirituality can be measured by how much we are devoting our time and our efforts to that one. Okay, and Allah subhanahu said it very clearly. The one that you are to love most, okay, He says it's one, but it's Allah, His Messenger, and struggling in their sake. Okay, and Allah described Himself and the Prophet using one pronoun. Wallahu wa rasuluhu ahaqqu an yurduh. Allah and His Messenger, are most worthy that you please Him. So He didn't say Him as Allah or the Prophet, because who loves the Prophet, who pleases the Prophet, has pleased Allah. Who obeys the Prophet has obeyed Allah. So this is why absolute belief, right? The concept of having an absolute. Now, why do people struggle with an absolute? People struggle with this because then they turn around and they only struggle with it in a diverse society, heterogeneous society, because you're going to turn around and say, well, if I'm on the truth, then that whole room over there, they're not on the truth. They're not on the truth, right? Because they're not Muslim, right? We're in a country that we're like not even like 3%, 4% Muslims, right? You look around and you're going to think 96% of the people aren't on the truth, right? The thing is that that's a question of salvation, right? And the best answer to that is that the truth is a precious thing, right? The truth is a precious thing. But in fact, we're 4% here. We're 4% here. I mean, 1 out of 4 in the whole world is Muslim today. So the truth is not some kind of rare thing. It just hasn't gotten westward yet, right? And 1 out of 4 is Muslim doesn't necessarily mean it's a quality believer, because the Prophet said at the end of time, you'll be many, but you'll not have any quality. Your quality is weak, right? You're like the froth of the sea, right? But the salvation question gets people. Are all these people going to hellfire? Our answer to that is salvation. The salvation question, we say that paths lead to the hellfire. We say for sure this belief leads to the hellfire. But we don't say that those on it are certainly going to the hellfire for a couple reasons. One, you don't know how he's going to die. 2, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said that only people who know the message and reject it, those are the people of the hellfire. So you don't know if he received the message properly, so you can't judge him. Thirdly, even if you think that he got the message properly, it's not up to us to be making after otherworldly judgments upon the people or assumptions about the people. So do we say, oh well, it's all good, Allah's merciful and everything's fine? No, we don't say that either, because if he's merciful, then why put the effort? Why not just be like follow one of these easy religions then, if God's all merciful, right? And you might not make that, but your kids will, right? For example, many people, they go out and they don't want to tell their kids that there's anything path of hell. They don't talk about hell at all. So they end up saying, well, we're Muslim, but Allah is going to have mercy on everyone. Now, logically speaking, if Allah's going to have mercy on everyone, why would I have to wake up for Fajr? Why wake up for Fajr? Why make wudu? Why wet my feet and my hands in the winter? It's December, right? Why should I wet my feet? What kind of effort should I put in that? If everyone's fine, why don't I be like them, right? They're relaxed. So no, we say this. There are paths that are, for sure, this is a path to the hellfire. Now you're on that path, someone else is on that path, that's a problem. We're going to try to give him dawah, right? We're not going to leave him. We're going to try to give him dawah. If we can't give him dawah because A, it's a workplace, and giving dawah in the workplace, I don't believe it's the appropriate thing to do, right? Because you're not hired to give dawah. You're disrupting your boss's desire. He hired you to do a job, not to turn it into a religious debate. So the job is not the place to do dawah. Neighbors, you have to do it in a right way, because neighborliness, people might be sort of, they don't want to, every time they have to open the door, get the mail, they want to make sure that you're not there first, right? If you ever lived in these small developments, if you ever lived in these small developments and you got that one person, like maybe he's a retiree, or for whatever reason, if they catch you, they will have no concept that you have a life, and they will talk to you for about 40 minutes every single time. So you have to check if he's there, check if his car is gone, then you're free. We won't want to do that, right? You don't want to do that. All right, we'll pick up afterwards, inshallah.